Horror. Cinema's most anxious yet alluring genres, able to make you shit your pants and have a good old laugh at people's misfortune at the same time. Film's ability of portraying the horrific unknown just brings out that innate fight or flight reaction in us. And no film has brought me more joy or horror in that way than The Set in the blistering cold Antarctica, 12 men are confined to their remote research facility as an unknown, shape-shifting entity inflicts violence against the survivors. While the Thing is a deadly, violent creature, its primary weapon is paranoia, as it mentally eats away at your mind, giving you an abundance of time to think and overwhelm you. Each filmmaking element reinforces this idea of horror of the unknown. And through the video, I'll be detailing how it achieves this. If you haven't seen the film, there will be major spoilers ahead. The film holds a whopping 12 characters, with a variety of professions. Although they're quite easy to differentiate, as they have unique ways of acting and reacting. Cheating bitch. Early into the film, they rescue a sled dog from violent Norwegian scientists. This dog is found out to be the Thing, desperately clinging to another life form. And just like that, the paranoia begins to set in. Clark, the dog handler, is immediately a suspect as he has spent the most time with the dog. However, his loner demeanor before and after the interaction is unchanged. He is essentially the same person. The main concern with the Thing is that it doesn't just transform to look like you, it acts like you too. That's the power of trust that the film instills in you, giving you enough information to deduce something that could be reasonable, but with a hint of plausible deniability.
Somebody in this camp ain't what he appears to be. Right now, that may be one or two of us. By spring, it could be all of us.
If I was an imitation, a perfect imitation, how would you know if it was really me?
Through trial and error, they begin to understand how the Thing operates, routinely making rational decisions based on the information that they know. They burn anything that could have connection to the Thing, interrogate each other, contain likely suspects, and come up with unique plans to determine who the Thing is. Now, the most horrifying part about all this is that you can't trust anybody shown on screen. The film carefully weaves the characters in a way that their actions could be seen as desperate attempts for the Thing to get an upper hand, or the characters making an emotional, logical decision. Did Windows run to the gun locker because he was found out for destroying the blood samples? Was Blair assimilated before or after being in the bungalow, thus claiming his innocence? And did Norris reject the role of leadership due to his inability or maliciously staying out of the spotlight? This overwhelming notion of trust embeds itself in your mind. On one hand, we're learning with the characters about how this entity operates, but in the back of our mind, the people we're closely associating with could have buried, vicious motives. Countless questions float in your mind and the characters' minds, as their quarrels, decisions, and emotions feed into the horror of the unknown. But what does paranoia look like? Well, in the Thing's case, it begins with isolation. No civilization, nothing. And to heighten the despair, a brutally cold winter begins to brew, complete with snowy mountains surrounding the area, visualized further by putting us in a false sense of security with the warm, inviting lights of Outpost 31. Outpost 31 is the residence of the 12 researchers, including a variety of rooms, a laboratory, offices, and other amenities. And as the film progresses, the more we lose direction and familiarity of the location. The camera sways through the endless halls and rooms, nearly turning into a maze, disorienting with every turn. Every shot has this feeling of claustrophobia, with storage disposed randomly, grey authoritarian-esque walls, and tight hallways and rooms. To visualize this, there are many long takes in the film, making you feel every moment as the dread consumes you. The floating camera brings an aura of mysticism that permeates throughout, hinting at the lurking, unknown creature that roams around. For instance, after the debacle with the Norwegians, the film suddenly quiets down, and we get this shot. And after everything that just happened beforehand, a near silent 20-second long shot of an empty room just doesn't feel right. The grotesque designs of the many variants of the thing mixed with the specific lighting to enhance the realism and disgusting fleshy parts, unfolding upon itself with the many different life forms it assimilated in its time, reminding us that the thing doesn't have a true form, instead replicating and assimilating in order to live. Designed by the insanely talented Rob Bottin. Compositions of a variety of shots throughout the film are all designed to keep you guessing, training our eye to see important details, such as a glimmering knife pulled from a pocket or an unnerving light in the distance. The bright red flares against the endless dark backdrop of the Arctic reinforces the isolation and hopelessness of the situation, even including subtle, subliminal visuals, such as the glimmers of light in the eyes of the characters in the blood test scene, signifying their humanity and soul. However, Palmer's eyes have no glimmer, revealing to be the thing. The visuals of the thing are some of the most hauntingly perfect shots in a horror film I've ever seen, using lighting, framing, long takes, and other techniques to pull you in and manipulate what you see and don't see.
You gotta be fucking kidding.
The main theme of the film, humanity, has a foreboding, monstrous feeling to it. The simple yet dark thumping reinforces the dark fate that surrounds the crew of Outpost 31. Also considered to be the heartbeat of the thing, something so close around you that you can hear it live. Sharp ringing stabs your ears, ethereal warbling looms over you. The whole track has this sense of impending doom. The entire soundtrack was composed by Ennio Morricone. The soundtrack utilizes bass synths and violins to great effect, with these long droning notes that fills the air with unease. The music with each track has this dramatic evolution and elevation to it, reinforcing the urgency and peril that the characters are situated in. This can be heard from the track Bestiality. Aside from the questionable title choice, the latter half of the track is a cacophony of panic and horror. However, the soundtrack of the film truly shines when the film has eerie, quiet moments, poking at your internal concerns and opinions on the crew as the music creeps in your mind and stays there. The track Solitude has this somber feeling to it, leaning into the humanity and apocalyptic dilemma that the characters face. The violins quietly fall into a downward spiral, whirling around your head. The soundtrack of the thing is hauntingly beautiful, eerily embodying the near-silent rapture that the population faces, guiding and tormenting us with the dark notion of the unknown.
This thing doesn't want to show itself. It wants to hide inside an imitation. It'll fight if it has to, but it's vulnerable out in the open. Nobody trusts anybody now. We're all very tired. If it takes us over, then it has no more enemies. And then it's won.
The world of the thing is left in an apocalyptic limbo, only left with the horrors of the unknown permeating in our minds. Although a gruesome, explosive ordeal, there is and will never be an answer to whether the thing was killed. The idea that something so ambiguous and malicious could assimilate the population and then just ending the film with no closure is a perfect representation of how well paranoia is portrayed in The Thing, leaving the shadow of the looming horror up to our imagination. With countless articles and videos speculating the ending and times of when certain crew members were supposedly assimilated. This article by Chris McEnany is a great read if you're interested in the dissection of the film. The Thing masterfully portrays the horror of the unknown in a gruesome yet quiet way, giving time to ponder and assess our surroundings. However, the well thought out characters, intense dramatic visuals, and eerie haunting soundtrack are all interwoven with this horrific theme of the unknown.